Two Geeks, Two Beers. Episode 38, Predator.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Was not expecting that. Nice.
Well, hello, and welcome to the first edition of the Two Geeks, Two Beers podcast for 2018. We're entering our fourth year of doing this show.
Which is insane.
It is insane. But the big question...
only 30 odd episodes.
Yeah. We've kind of slacked a little bit. But
yeah.
the big question is, 4 years in now, why are we not a bigger deal?
I know.
And we are recommitting ourselves to Two Geeks a little bit in 2018.
Make an effort.
Yeah, well, the shambolic nature of the show...
Well, that's the heart of the show.
That will always remain.
Yeah.
But we are looking to be a bit more professional.
Yeah.
We had a production meeting in a pub, but still. Yeah. We planned out recording dates, release dates.
Beers.
For this particular episode, we selected a beer ahead of time.
Actually ordered one.
I ordered it ahead of time, rather than just picking up
go to Tesco and
what we could find in the offie an hour before recording. I had to go and pick it up. I picked it up, only to find that it is not actually a beer.
I'm excited about it.
But it is a cider, so it's still booze, so we can work with it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's really nice.
So we are drinking Hunter's Gold, because this episode is all about not Relic Hunter, as someone guessed on Twitter, but Predator, the 1987 action classic, and the resulting franchise. So let's watch the trailer to kick things off.
We are a rescue team, not assassins. Now, what do we gotta do?
In a part of the world where there are no rules.
We pick up their trailer at the chopper, run them down, grab those hostages before anybody knows we were there. What do you mean we?
Deep in the jungle, where nothing that lives is safe.
You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt. Showtime, kid. Knock, knock.
An elite rescue squad.
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Is being led by the ultimate warrior.
We need the best. That's why you're here.
But now...
What's got Billy so spooked?
There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man. They're up against the ultimate enemy.
Holy Mother of God.
Nothing like it has ever been on Earth before.
She says the jungle just came alive and took him.
We cannot see it.
No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
But it sees the heat of our bodies and the heat of our fear.
Whatever it is out there, it killed Hopper. And now it wants us.
It kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive!
It hunts for sport.
He's killing us one at a time.
We're all gonna die. But this time, it's picked the wrong man to hunt.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
20th Century Fox presents Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator. The hunt begins Friday, June 12th at theaters everywhere.
Now, it sees the heat of our bodies, fine. It sees the heat of our fear. That's nonsense. But
that's not a skill he's got.
But appropriately enough, these cans of Hunter's Gold, they say bring the heat on them.
And there's some sort of competition it's running called Heat Seekers, which is even better. So, very nice.
If someone ever asked me what my favourite film is, I'd probably lie and say that it's
Citizen Kane,
Goodfellas, or The Shawshank Redemption, which are great movies. But if I am totally honest with myself, the film I love and enjoy the most is Predator. I first watched the film I was over at my friend Alan's house, and I was way too young. But Alan was kind of like a tough kid.
Well, Alan's a old-fashioned name for a kid. I feel like no kids are called Alan. It's like you earn that when you're like in your 30s.
It's true. Actually. It's like it's like Bert. You know, we call your baby Bert. Alan. Yeah, he was a kid called Alan, and he did like karate, and his family kept geese.
Nice.
So he was a bit rough and tumble.
Yeah.
And so he put on Predator, and even as a kid who was way too young, I was loving it. And then I remember my dad came to pick me up, and he was angry that I was watching an 18, and he took me home before I could watch the end. And it was just as the Predator was about to remove his mask and reveal his true face.
It's the whole point of the film.
And in those days, you couldn't just like Google image search or look the clip up on YouTube. So I had no idea what the Predator looked like for years.
How long did you have to wait?
Well, I think I was trying to remember this, and I think I saw like a bust of his face when I went to Universal Studios in Florida when I was like 16, so like 8 years later.
So you didn't like rent it from Blockbuster or Ritz or whatever it was.
I couldn't because
back
I was
then.
18.
Oh yeah.
Alan had it taped off like the
Your
telly.
super cool mate Alan.
My rough and tumble mate Alan. So I couldn't watch it. And then,
Bad influence.
And then my parents were onto me, so it was like, no, you definitely can't watch 18s, you can't watch Predator. So I got spoilers of what the Predator looked like 8 years later.
See, films were actually 18s back then. Doesn't exist now. You have to go really far to be an 18 at cinemas now.
You do.
Because most like films of this ilk, they'll tweak it so it can be a 15 at least.
Yeah, and you want to make more money.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that. But I really got into the movie when it came out on DVD in 2004. So I would have been about 17 at the time. And I remember I read a 5-star review of the DVD release in Empire or Total Film or one of the magazines. And up until then, I'd sort of dismissed Predator as one of Arnie's sillier movies. I don't know why, but I had this idea of it, and I thought it was equivalent to like a Commando or an Eraser. But this review convinced me to go out and buy the DVD, and I just fell in love instantly. I remember I watched the film and then immediately watched all the special features and the commentaries. I loved it. What's your connection with Predator? We should do that bit.
Yeah, well, it's a weird one because, like, on paper, you know, as a kid, I watched quite a few Arnie films, even though I probably shouldn't have been. Like Total Recall, I loved that.
Yeah.
I was far too young.
Naughty Treats.
Yeah, Terminator films, even like, what was it, Last Action Hero and all that.
Underrated.
And for some reason, this just totally passed me by. It didn't ever come up. I just didn't ever see it. And I think as time went on, I just thought, it's just a silly action movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think I even realised he was in it, really.
Right.
And then it was only like 5-6 years ago, maybe, that someone lent me a DVD of it because they were going on about it like you do. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, it's really good. And then I watched it again with you, and then we watched it again at the cinema recently.
Yeah.
Because it was released.
It was on the big screen at the Prince Charles Cinema in London.
So that was good.
Oh, that was amazing.
But I've only seen it those three times.
Right.
But really enjoyed it.
It's great. And I think it's interesting what you said about not even knowing Arnie was in it. I think it's one of the rare franchises with Arnie in that is still somehow bigger than Arnie.
Yeah. Because
Terminator is so tied to Arnie. When they try and make Terminator films without Arnie,
it's not about Arnie
really work.
though, this film.
It's not. Well, it's not. But he is the lead.
He's the main character. But he's badass in it. But he's sort of weirdly takes a sort of back seat. Well, even though he's the lead character.
It's something he wanted to do. He didn't want to be like a one-man army in it. He wanted to be part of a team. Because he's saying like, I wanted it to be part of a team like the Wild Bunch, the Magnificent Seven, where it's a bunch of guys, and he wanted that feel to it. And then obviously the franchise has gone on, and he's not been in later films, which we will get into. And so it feels like Predator is kind of bigger than Arnie, so it's not just an Arnie movie. But it was released June the 12th, 1987, and in case you don't know, Predator stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as the leader of an elite special forces team, which is on a mission to rescue hostages from guerrilla-held territory in Valverde, in Central America's Northern Triangle. So it was written by Jim Thomas and his brother, John Thomas, under the working title of Hunter, hence Hunter's Gold. Yeah, cheers. Following the release of Rocky IV, which have you seen Rocky IV?
You know I haven't seen any of the Rocky movies.
Oh, yeah, but I forget. Every time you tell me that, I think I erase it from my mind.
I've not seen any Rocky movie.
Rocky IV is not the best one, because the best one is obviously Rocky, but Rocky IV is the most enjoyable, it's the most ludicrous. It's the one where he fights...
Mr. T?
No, that's Rocky III, which is also good. No, this one he fights Dolph Lundgren, and sort of ends the Cold War.
Single hand, well...
More...
quadruple-handedly.
Quadruple-handedly?
Yeah, well, all four of their hands, so their fists have ended the Cold War.
Oh, right, okay, I was like, four-arm Stallone? What freaky fucking version of Rocky IV are you watching? Okay, so, following the release of Rocky IV, which also starred Carl Weathers, a joke circulated in Hollywood that since Rocky Balboa had sort of run out of decent opponents who could take him on...
Has to be Arnie.
That would be amazing. No, he would have to fight an alien. If a fifth film were made, it was like, oh, who else is he going to fight? It's going to have to be sci-fi. That's the only sort of route available to it.
Saying Fast and Furious will be in space for the next film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the screenwriters, Jim and John Thomas, took inspiration from the joke and wrote a screenplay based on it. Filming began in April 1986. Now, I was lucky enough to get to meet and interview one of the stars of the film, the great, the iconic Carl Weathers. Almost a year ago now. That's a proper man.
Bear.
This interview was almost a year ago in March of 2017, and I got to ask him about the experience of filming Predator.
Amazing.
I mean, looking back now, what are your kind of abiding memories of being in those jungles in Mexico?
More fun than anything else. 30 years ago, I was 30 years younger. And could run around and do all kinds of things and get up the next morning and do it all over again and not really feel it. But we had a great time. It was a great group of guys, crazy guys in the jungle, drinking really good drinks at night, smoking big cigars during the day. Just, having fun, making a movie that we were all enjoying making. Getting pumped up every day, pumping iron. Crazy guys. I still go back to that, though. Crazy guys.
Yeah. A surreal moment in my life, being sat opposite Carl Weathers and him just talking about filming Predator, my favourite movie of all time. Crazy guys. Like,
didn't you feel like such a lucky little boy?
Sometimes
we feel like that anyway, but like to be in front of a guy like that, who's just his pecs are ripping out of his shirt,
even at his age,
a button hits you in the head.
And I am lucky enough in my job that I have interviewed quite a few famous people, but there's certain people where I start to feel a little bit dizzy when I'm looking them in the eye because I think my brain can't quite compute that I'm opposite them, and my brain thinks I'm like hallucinating, and I feel so dizzy.
On 2 Geeks before, have we told the story of that guy who tried to take a selfie of Arnie and panicked a bit? Do you remember that? It was you were at a junket or a screening or something.
Oh, it wasn't me. It was a friend of ours. Yeah.
And he what did he do? He sort of tried to.
He took a selfie with Arnie. He'd interviewed Arnie and then he took a selfie with him. But as I would be.
Yeah, I would be. I wouldn't even have the nerve to ask.
No, he was like shaking, taking the selfie, and then he was this little blurry photo of him and Arnie because his arm was shaking. It's Arnie.
I would have given the phone to Arnie to do it. Then he'd probably break the phone or something.
So the plot of Predator: Major Dutch Schaefer and his special forces team, the medic Mac, the tracker Billy, the gunner Blaine, explosives expert Poncho, and radio operator Hawkins. Oh, what I like about all those characters' names, they sound like what you would make up when you're like 12.
Yeah.
You're making up like your
Dutch Mac.
Blaine Poncho. They are tasked by the CIA with rescuing an official held hostage by insurgents. CIA agent Dylan, a former commando and an old friend of Dutch, is assigned to supervise the team despite Dutch's objections. Now him and Dutch are old friends, and they reunite, of course, in one of the film's most iconic moments.
Which you can't see.
But you can hear it.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Dylan! You son of a bitch! What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils? Huh? Had enough?
Make it easy on yourself, Dutch.
Okay. Never did know when to quit, huh?
Damn good to see you, Dutch.
What is this fucking tie business?
Oh, come on, forget about my tie, man.
Okay, yes, you couldn't see Arnie and Carl Weathers' incredible bulging biceps, but you can just hear their hands meeting like a thunderclap. All right, we'll do it.
Watch the elbow.
All right. That wasn't bad.
That's pretty good.
That wasn't bad. I mean, nothing.
Why are they all greased? Why is Arnie's arm so greasy and oiled up?
Just
He
constantly.
hasn't even got out yet. He's just gone to the bar.
It's constantly baby oiled up. I also like the diss. The sort of lameness of the diss. What is this fucking tie business? He's like, what can I? He's looking. He's like, what can I? Well, he's a pretty buff.
He's really cool.
He's a pretty cool buff dude.
tie
Carl
bit,
is. He's wearing a tie. What is his fucking tie business? It's pretty weak as jibes go. So the team discover the skinned corpses of a previous Special Forces team in the jungle, led by one Jim Hopper. Now,
Oh,
yeah.
is that on purpose?
Well, exactly. So that is the same name as the character, played by David Harbour in Stranger Things. Now, the Duffer Brothers, who made Stranger Things, they've never...
Love the 80s, don't they?
Well, exactly. I've never seen any official comment as to whether or not that is a reference to Predator, but given how kind of 80s
We'll pretend it is.
crazy it is, let's say it's a Predator reference.
I talked to a Big Buy ex-employee who said some little girl shattered the door with her mind.
I heard that story. Did you hear the one about the fat man with the beard who climbs down chimneys?
Dutch's team reach the insurgent camp and kill the soldiers, including a Soviet intelligence officer searching through secret CIA documents. Confronted by Dutch, Dillon admits the mission was a setup to retrieve intelligence from captured operatives. After capturing a guerrilla named Anna, the unit proceeds to extraction, unaware that it is being tracked with thermal imaging by an unseen observer. The team are picked off one by one by the alien hunter, the Predator. And when Blaine is killed, an enraged Mac initiates a firefight which fails to draw the creature out. Now, do you know the bit I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I do remember it. It's all kind of nasty.
This is the moment where Mac mows down most of the rainforest.
Men.
It does occur to me with each new clip I play that Predator is quite a visual movie.
Yeah.
That was just a lot of noise.
Yeah, sort of faded that out a bit after a while.
To you listeners.
Yeah, I mean, just carnage. Just more guns than you could ever possibly need. War. It's fantastic.
Second time we've used that clip in 2 episodes. So they fail to draw the Predator out. There's a great line where after all that mayhem, Poncho emerges and says, "No blood, no bodies, we hid nothing." But the Predator is wounded. Now Dutch knows the creature is fallible and delivers his famous line, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
When the big man was killed, you must have wanted it. Its blood was on the leaves.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
More of his team fall, and finally only Dutch is left to take the monster down. Dutch realises the creature does not target unarmed prey because there is no sport in it. Which, how it should have ended, guys, they did pick up on that particular plot hole.
Come on! No! Leave it! He didn't kill you because you were unarmed. There's no sport in it.
Wait, if that thing's killing us because we're all armed, then what the heck are we carrying all these guns for?
That is an excellent question. Quick, everybody throw down your weapons!
Ah, no thanks.
Yeah, you keep it. Get to the chopper.
So true. It only just occurred to me as well. I was like, why bother? Alright.
It's a pretty big plot hole. While the creature collects trophies from the bodies it's already killed, Dutch crafts traps and weapons and then lures the creature in with a war cry. Now, a lot of debate, between me and my mates, as to what is the manliest moment in Predator. Is it that arm wrestle, isn't that moment where they mow down an entire rainforest. For me, it's this moment. It's Arnie's guttural, raging war cry. It's the Arnie version of "Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough."
Come on, then, son.
It's Arnie at his peak, at his masculine peak, all covered in mud. So, acknowledging Dutch as a worthy foe, the Predator discards its plasma weapon and its mask, leading to another famous quote: "You're one ugly motherfucker," and it engages him in hand-to-hand combat. Having failed to lure the creature into his first trap, "Come on, kill me, do it now!" Dutch is able to crush the creature under another trap's counterweight. Dying, the Predator activates a self-destruct device. Dutch takes cover just before the self-destruct device explodes in a mushroom cloud, somehow surviving what appears to be a nuclear explosion.
Don't worry about it. It's a 24 rule, isn't it?
What?
The Jack Bauer rule.
Drive around the nuke.
Can't go this way. The nuke. The nuke's here.
You need to go back and listen to our 24 episode where we discuss this in more detail. But basically, in season 6, a nuke goes off, and they detonated a nuke in one of the early episodes, and then the writers clearly regret it because they don't really want to deal with the ramifications of a nuke having gone off in LA. So
nuclear holocaust for like 10 seasons.
There's literally a scene where someone wants to drive down a road, and a policeman says, "Can't go this way, nuke." No, you want to go
around the nuke.
Take the road on 5th.
The second left.
You want to take a ride on 5th? You go right around that nuke, right around that fallout zone. Anyway, he's Arnie. He survives a nuclear explosion, and he is picked up by his commander, General Phillips, and Anna in the chopper. Now. It's quite a downbeat ending because Arnie survived, but only just. He's beaten to a pulp. All his mates are dead.
Got PTSD.
Yeah, right. However, you think, that's quite a downbeat ending for quite a testosterone fueled pumping action movie. However, this is then followed by some amazing end credits in which Arnie and his team all salute and smile and jeer at the camera. It's the perfect pick-me-up after a slightly downbeat ending.
Why don't they always do that in films? It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah. Now, again, this won't really translate, but Tom, I will just play this for your benefit. Now, I read an amazing, ridiculous theory on the late lamented IMDb message boards. I read this once, that because Arnie, in that end sequence, is the only cast member who doesn't break character. All the rest all kind of laugh or smile at the camera or salute, and Arnie's still like super serious. He does like a big dramatic turn, but still in character. And there was this theory that Predator was all an elaborate prank played on Arnie, who believed the whole thing was real. Like they all got together and like staged it like it was real. And then the next comment under that was, "Why do they call him Dutch? Why does Arnie act like he's a soldier? Why does he call them all fake names?" Like. It was ludicrous. It wasn't the most solid of theories. It didn't hold up to even the most basic of scrutiny. But I quite enjoyed it. I like the idea. If only it were true. There's also another quite dark fan theory about the end of Predator,
right?
Which is that the reason Arnie looks so bummed out at the end of the movie is not just because he's lost all his men, but because he knows he's been exposed to deadly radiation, and he hasn't actually survived his bout with the monster after all. So that was actually the Predator's final ploy, was to let off the bomb and Arnie will just die slowly of radiation sickness.
That's why he never returned.
But I'm dismissing that because it's mean-spirited and I love Predator and it's fun and Stop it. Now, that was me very briefly laying out the plot. However, if you prefer your plot recap in the form of rap, and who doesn't,
of course,
here's a little piece of magic from Robo Mayhem on YouTube.
I love these guys.
To get you all caught up. I love those guys.
Listen, the helicopter moves into position, got a mission, a top secret briefing from Dylan. Arnie waits in the chopper till his stogie is lit. Dylan! And then he sees Dylan.
You son of a bitch.
next, the two jest with an arm wrestling contest.
Cause some damn fool accused you of being the
The
best.
situation is sinister, Dylan explains what they're doing. There's a cabinet minister in the jungle who needs rescuing.
I'm going in with you, then.
Dylan is to be the chaperone, but Arnie isn't happy.
My team always works alone.
With tons of camo, the commandos are ready to go. They've got guns and ammo and Little Richard's on the stereo. The helicopter flies over the jungle terrain. You've got Poncho, Mac, Bailey, Hawkins, Dylan, Dutch and Blaine. There's banter back and forth with every man aboard. Blaine says they're slack jawed, he's a sexual tyrannosaur.
The other day I went up to my girlfriend. I said, I'd like a little pussy. She said, me too. Mine's as big as a house.
They land in the jungle and their mission begins. They find Hopper's men all hung up in skins. Billy searches through the undergrowth and comes across a trail. They all saddle up and they follow without fail. Blaine takes old Painless out the bag and moves into place. Arnie looks through his binoculars, surveys the rebels' base. Packs a truck with C4 and he sets it into motion. Careering towards the rebels' base and causing an explosion. With the truck as a distraction, Arnie's team attack, catching the rebels off guard before they have a chance to react. The guerrillas are all butchered as they fight for survival. Arnie knocks an arm girl out with the butt of his rifle.
Bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed. You got time to duck?
Arnie grabs
The gorillas are all butchered as they fight for survival. Arnie knocks an armed girl out with the butt of his rifle. Superb. Superb wordplay.
I just love how he's just sort of nonchalant about it. Yeah, it's the part. What are you about?
So we should talk about the cast of the movie, because it has an incredible ensemble cast. Now, looking this up, I didn't know any of the characters' first names, but they're all on the interwebs. Apparently they're taken from the original script, but they're never referenced on screen. So Arnie plays Major Allen.
Alan.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
You've got to be a butch guy to be Alan.
I didn't even think
You've
of
got to
that.
be a big, older guy.
Alan.
Can't be a 12-year-old.
Arnie has earned Alan. Arnie played Major Alan Dutch Schaefer. Carl Weathers played the CIA operative George Dillon, or there's some debate about it. He's called Al in the novelisation, but apparently
Another
George
Alan.
in the script. Another Al. So, actually, that's a good point. That's really poor from the novel. I'm going to go for George Dillon because it's stupid they're both called Al. Weathers was the first and only choice for the part of Dillon. Weathers said of Shooting Predator that the actors would secretly wake up as early as 3 a.m. to work out before the day's shooting. Weathers also stated that he would act as if his physique was naturally given to him and would only work out after the other actors were nowhere to be seen. So he'd wait until the gym was empty, then super work out, and then he'd come out all pumped and they'd be like, Carl, you look great. He's like,
just woke up like this.
I just woke up like Carl Weathers invented. I woke up like this. He's like, yeah, it's just my natural look. What's the big deal? Oh, we've been working out loads, Carl. We don't look as good as you.
Came out the womb looking like this.
I came out the womb looking like this. Terrifying image.
Little Carl Weathers.
But super buff. It also stars Elpidia Carrillo as Ana Gonçalves. More on her later. Bill Duke, who also battled Arnie in Commando as the henchman Cook.
See, I only saw him for the first time in Lost because he was.
Was he Lost?
Yeah, he in a flashback episode. He was Sawyer's horrible prison guard, and it's the first time I ever saw him. He's just a terrifying presence.
Terrifying man. He has a great exchange with Arnie in Commando, which is, "You scared, motherfucker? You should be, because this Green Beret's gonna kick your big ass." And then Arnie goes, "I had Green Berets for breakfast, and right now I'm very hungry." And then beats him up. It's great.
You scared, motherfucker? Well, you should be. Because the Green Beret's gonna kick your big ass.
I ate Green Berets for breakfast. And right now I'm very hungry.
I can't believe this macho bullshit.
So Bill Duke plays Mac Elliott. Who knew? Apparently Duke improvised his character's habit of constantly shaving in the jungle.
I remember that at the time.
Oh, you're always shaving.
And because we watched it when it was Super HD, I was like, it's a bit closer.
Yeah. Well, the crew had to scramble on set, apparently, to rig up a razor that squirted blood for a scene where an intense Mac cuts himself during a particularly sort of tense moment. But that was all improv.
Wow.
Richard Chavez, who was a real-life Vietnam veteran, he played Jorge Poncho Ramirez.
Billy, you know something. What is it?
I'm scared, Poncho.
Bullshit. You ain't afraid of no man.
There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man.
And Jesse Ventura played Blaine Cooper. Now, Ventura was a real-life Navy SEAL and professional wrestler. This is almost on Buster Crab levels of multitasking.
Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
He was a professional wrestler known as Jesse the Body Ventura.
Do you know what he does now?
He hosts... Go on.
As of September 2017, Jesse is hosting a variety news show called The World According to Jesse.
No, I'm thinking of... I was flicking through the channels, late at night, as you do, and I found this show, this incredible show, called Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, which is hosted by... It's basically like him and a team, and they investigate, conspiracy theories, but in a sort of Jesse Ventura way. So I saw one that was about super soldiers, and this guy who's clearly crazy is like... I believe that I was recruited by the American government to be a super soldier, and they did experiments on me. And there's like no proof, but just he's like,
do you know what? I believe this.
He's like, this man's testimony was such that I believe America has a super soldier program. I have no proof of such, but oh my god, the testimony.
Is it every episode? Like the end of Ross Kemp, he always does a bit to camera. Saying, well, everything here is really bad, and it's going to continue to be bad. And I feel like at the end of each episode of Conspiracy Theory, Jesse Ventura turns to the camera and goes, believe all that.
I believe it all.
See you next time.
I have no proof for such. It was hosted by Jesse Ventura. One of his team was June Sarpong. And it was these weird scenes of him teaming up with June Sarpong and Oliver Stone's son, Sean Stone, who looks like, in 90s team shows where there's always like the cool one who's like a bit of a ladies' man,
like a Diagnosis Murder.
His son, he's Barry Van Dyke. He's the Barry Van Dyke of Conspiracy Theory, Jesse Ventura, and Sean Stone just sounds like a name that you would give that kind of character. God. Sean Stone, he's the ladies' man.
June Sarpong, so she was like a presenter over here on T4 this Saturday morning, like breakfast show sort of for kids. Yeah. And now she's doing that. I'm sure she's doing something else.
I'm sure she's moved on since. But he was like, British journalist June Sarpong teaming up with me, Jesse Ventura, to solve mysteries. And it's like, am I high? Someone slipped something in my drink.
It's like one of those fake programs you see on Rick and Morty where they show the
Yeah.
Now, you guys are telling me that humans turn into lizards?
Jesse Ventura takes on a conspiracy from another dimension.
I come from the world of pro wrestling. I've seen it all, and I've never seen any 6-foot-tall, walking on 2 legs lizard.
Can it be true?
They came to Earth and interbred with humans.
Are some world leaders...
Whoa, what the hell?
Shape-shifting reptiles from another dimension?
This is Obama.
Jesse and his team head out to find the facts behind the mystery.
Reptilians occupy under the ground, we occupy above the ground.
So anyway, according to IMDb, Arnie recommended Jesse Ventura for Blaine after interviewing him for the role, and I like his reasoning for this. This is according to IMDb. He thought he looked the part, was big enough, had a deep voice, and was manly.
Manly.
It's like,
I like the idea that someone had all those qualities but wasn't manly.
He's big and he's got a deep voice. Is he manly? But I was like, so who's this guy? Oh, he's a wrestler. The Navy SEAL. Can he act? He's manly. That's all you need. Don't worry about it.
Arnie's been doing it.
Now, sidebar, because I'm gonna sort of move away from the cast for a little bit, just to talk about something specifically related to the character of Blaine.
Okay.
So the character of Blaine is known for using Old Painless, which is a handheld gun nuts are probably gonna.
Yeah.
Is it M134? Anyway, it's a handheld minigun.
Okay.
Custom built for the film. Now, these weapons are supposed to be strapped onto helicopters and aircraft. You know when you see like a helicopter with like a huge minigun on the bottom of it? Not meant to be carried by a man.
But he's manly, so...
He's a man mountain.
Yeah,
he is manly, as previously established. Yeah. The weapon was fitted with the handguard assembly from a full-size M60 machine gun. A special harness was also created, transferring much of the weapon's considerable weight to Jesse Ventura's shoulders. The weapon also had its fire rate drastically reduced. Now, you've seen what it's like when it goes off.
Yeah.
Drastically reduced from 6,000 rounds per minute to 1,250 rounds per minute, partly to make the recoil manageable for Ventura, partly to conserve ammunition. Even at the reduced rate, the ammo canister linked to the gun could only hold 4 to 6 seconds of usable ammunition. So those moments where they just let rip are are nonsense.
Absolute nonsense.
And also it was slowed down to make the weapon's rotating barrels visible on screen. At the full rate of fire, the barrels appear to be stationary because they're moving so fast that they spin faster than the frame rate of the cameras. Again, I've copied and pasted this from a fan wiki, but we love finding fan wikis with particularly sort of shitty tones. And this is one. Despite being one of the more memorable aspects of Predator, in reality the concept of a handheld minigun is completely unrealistic. It is simply impossible for a man to carry enough ammunition to give it anything like a reasonable duration of firing. Furthermore, when factoring in the additional weight of batteries that would need to be carried, the weapon becomes even less practical. Most notably, when Mac opens with the weapon on the jungle hunter, he fires continuously for almost a minute. Not only would it be physically impossible for a man to carry the requisite amount of ammunition for such a long period of firing, but there should also be thousands of empty shell casings lying on the floor afterwards. That's a fair point.
But yeah, I mean, really unrealistic, you know, because like an alien who camouflages himself with dreadlocks and
yeah, but the gun,
wearing a hockey mask, that's totally fine.
But the gun's too big. The gun is too big.
The gun is too big.
Yeah. The ammunition box attached to the minigun apparently is also nowhere near large enough to contain sufficient ammo.
Well, that was a given.
For what is shown in the scene. End of sidebar. Back to the cast. So next up, you've got Sonny Landham as Billy Soul.
What is it? Billy. What the hell is wrong with you? There's something in those trees.
Cool story about him. Is it a cool story? It's a story. The studio's insurance company would apparently not agree to insure the production unless a bodyguard was hired for Landham. Not to protect him, but for the sole purpose of protecting people from him. So the bodyguard followed him around everywhere to make sure he didn't kill anyone. Basically.
Fucking about.
But again, this sounds like they didn't get like, it was like, who are the best actors for this part? It's like, who are the hardest nuts we can get? Who like get some proper hard nuts? Like dangerous guys. They just got some dangerous guys. And then they also got Shane Black as Rick Hawkins. So Shane Black was not really an actor. He was actually a screenwriter, but producer Joel Silver wanted Black, who was writing Lethal Weapon at the time. He wanted him close to him to review the script, so he just gave him what he thought was like a minor part in the film. Black spent his free time on the set writing the screenplay for The Last Boy Scout, the Bruce Willis movie.
There you go.
Black also wrote Last Action Hero, Long Kiss Goodnight, and after making his directorial debut with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005, he went on to direct and write Iron Man 3 and The Nice Guys.
He's doing alright for himself.
He's doing alright.
He's doing alright for himself. Can we briefly mention with Billy his rubbish death? Because he's like awesome in this film.
Yeah.
He's like really cool and slick, and if there's anyone I want to put my trust in, it would be Billy.
If you're going to pick one of the team to protect you.
And then he goes down, he sort of goes down in a
blaze of
glory, but we don't see it, and all we hear is his like pathetic scream in the background. If people go on about Boba Fett having a bad time when he ended, justice for Billy.
Justice for Billy. Hashtag justice for Billy. Hashtag 2 Geeks. Hashtag justice for Billy. I think as well, it's kind of hard to tell with the heat vision, but I think the Predator sneaks up behind him like a little bitch. So that's why Billy didn't have a fair shot at it.
Billy, don't be a hero.
So back to Black. See what I did there? Apparently Shane Black came up with the coarse jokes that Hawkins tells in the film. Apparently much to the chagrin of the Thomas brothers who wrote the script. They did not like those jokes.
Billy! The other day, I was going down to my girlfriend. I said to her, "Jeez, you got a big pussy. Jeez, you got a big pussy." She said, "Why did you say that twice?" I said I didn't. See, it's because of the echo.
It's a funny joke.
That was a manly laugh right
there. Now, do you know who was originally cast as the Predator?
Originally cast? The guy who played Lurch.
No.
A bit too old.
Strong guess. No.
Chewbacca.
No, not Chewbacca. No. JCVD. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
wouldn't think he'd be tall enough.
Wow. He wasn't. Simple answer to that. He wasn't. Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast as the Predator. The idea being that, being an action star, he could use his martial arts skills to make the Predator an agile, ninja-esque hunter.
And kicking. Lots of kicking.
He could kick lots of people. He does the roundhouse kicks. However, when compared to Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, actors known for being, you know, Brit shithouses, it became apparent that a more physically imposing man was needed to make the creature appear threatening, because JCVD's not actually that tall. Like, I wouldn't mess with him.
I'd love to be his height.
I mean, he would tower over you, but that's
so would Shane Black. So.
That's a low bar, literally. Van Damme was removed from the film and replaced by Kevin Peter Hall, who was a 7-foot 2-inch actor who also has a cameo at the end of the film as the Chopper pilot, and also played the title character of Harry in the film and television series Harry and Henderson's.
Yeah, he died young, didn't he?
He did, sadly. So
AIDS back in '91.
KPH. Cheers. Apparently, someone else almost played the Predator. A worse actor than JCVD.
Chuck Norris.
No. Why? Chuck Norris.
Deeply offended.
Leave me alone. Alright, fine. If you want to slag off Chuck Norris, don't come to me when Chuck comes for you. No, an attempt was made to get shots of the Predator swinging from tree to tree, because they wanted, you know, he's in the trees.
Jackie Chan.
No. They tried to use a monkey in a red special effects suit.
This is a Carl Pilkington story.
So there's this monkey, right? And however, the monkey kept removing the suit because, you know, it's a fucking monkey, and the idea was abandoned. So that didn't work out. And this, I'm amazed I didn't know this. I found out this every day's a school day. I found this out researching this episode. Do you know who provided the voice of the Predator? So, you know, his growls and the few times he does speak and the kind of noises he makes.
I do, only because I've just seen it.
Oh, well, alright.
I didn't.
The internet ruins everything. So, it was... You listeners don't know, Tom's ruined my big reveal.
Yeah.
It was Peter Cullen.
Yeah.
Who... Because he wasn't credited for the role, which is why I didn't know this. But Peter Cullen is... it says here, perhaps best known. Definitely best known. He's not known for this, he's not even credited. He was best known as, or is best known as the voice of Optimus Prime in the Transformers franchise.
Still doing it, right?
Still doing it, yeah. To this day in the recent movies.
My name is Optimus Prime.
He also voiced Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. Didn't know that.
Versatile guy. I interviewed Peter Cullen once at Comic-Con, but it was a round table interview, and I mean, literally, we were making a podcast called Two Geeks, but I was by far... There's nothing quite like Comic-Con to make you feel like you're...
James Bond.
And without being too mean, yeah. And so I was in a room with these like Transformers uber fans, and I love my Transformers, we'll do a Transformers episode. And Cullen was there, just like holding court, and they were like, Mr. Cullen, yeah, how did you feel about Megatron's transformation in Beast Wars Season 3 or whatever? And then he was loving it, and he was like a god to these men. He was like, and he was doing like the Optimus Prime voice, and he was like, well, I thought that was a good twist. And these guys were like, I couldn't believe it.
This reminds me of...
It was a lovely room to be in. It was. That was me what I said before. It was a lovely room to be in.
But it reminds me of when, as we were talking about Arnie as well, have I ever talked about when I went to the audience with Arnold Schwarzenegger thing?
No.
He was doing like a Q&A with Jonathan Ross.
Jonathan Ross. Oh, at the Palladium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were these like guys who must have come all over the world to be here.
Yeah.
It's probably quite rare that Arnie does this. And at the end there was a Q&A and there was only like, you're only going to get 10 chances max to ask a question. And there was this one guy who put his hands up and he's holding a framed photo of Arnie that he obviously wants to sign, but he's sort of holding it up like he's going to sign it from 100 yards away or whatever. And then he's got one question to ask his hero. He's come all this way to ask Arnie a question.
Did he
He goes,
the ball?
Do you like Bruce Willis? And I just slowly turn around and go,
mate,
you've had the bravery to put your hand up, but I'm not brave enough sometimes to do that in front of a big group of people.
Yeah.
I'd rather just let everyone else do it.
Yeah.
So you've done that, and then you didn't even think of a question, or you've forgotten your question.
It's got to be the latter. It's got to be...
And that's your question. He's worked with Bruce, and he goes, yeah, I like Bruce.
What else is he going to say?
And then he tried to go, who else do you like working with?
That guy must have sat and just been like, got my dynamite question for Arnie. It's going to be something no one's ever asked him before.
Honestly,
and he just went blank.
Honestly, he just put his hand up thinking it was going to be a good idea. And then that came out of his mouth. I mean, it could have been worse. At least it was relevant.
Yeah.
But it's just... But I think at one point Jonathan Ross, because someone else then asked a stupid question as well, Jonathan was like, has anyone got any actual questions to ask Arnie? We're here with Arnold Schwarzenegger. No one's asking any proper question. Anyway, that was a sidebar.
sidebar part 2. So we'll move on to the crew. Predator was directed by John McTiernan, who...
What a run.
Just a year later...
From the law.
Would go on... Well, that was later in his career.
Yeah.
Just a year later, McTiernan would go on to direct Die Hard.
Was his first 2 films?
I don't think his first 2.
Okay.
But two in a row.
Yeah. 2
of the greatest action movies of all time, in my opinion. The 2 greatest ever action movies. And then he followed that up with The Hunt for Red October, which is also pretty good.
And he did Last Action Hero, Die Hard with a Vengeance,
Underrated.
Thomas Crown Affair. All good films. Sort of.
Just let's not talk about Rollerball. But yeah, I mean, come on. And that, like, in a 2-year period, Predator then Die Hard. Come on.
Yeah.
No one else has ever done 2 movies that good. that's not what I sort of meant to say. I sort of trailed off there, but I'll stand by that statement. No one else has ever done 2 movies that good.
He's out of prison now, so it's fine.
It's fine. The soundtrack. Now you should know this. I'm going to test you. The soundtrack was composed by Alan Silvestri, who was coming off the huge success of
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future in 1985.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's apt. Consider what the next episode of 2 Geeks might be.
Oh, spoilers, teasers. The creature effects for Predator were devised by Stan Winston, who's like a genius, who also did the makeup work for the Terminator series, the first 3 Jurassic Park films, Aliens, and Edward Scissorhands. He was a frequent collaborator with James Cameron and won 4 Academy Awards for his work. The original monster suit was not designed by Winston, was vastly different from the final product. It was a disproportionate ungainly creature with large yellow eyes and a dog-like head, and it was nowhere near as agile as later portrayed. McTiernan apparently consulted Winston after production became troubled. So it's like, there's a lot of hurdles at which Predator could have fallen. Yeah. You could have had a monkey with a dog's head. And apparently while on a plane...
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah.
Even worse, you could have had Jean-Claude Van Damme. But while on a plane ride to Fox Studios alongside Aliens director James Cameron, Winston sketched monster ideas. So he's that good. He was just like, we'll throw this together. Oh, it's one of the most iconic monster designs of all time. I'm Stan Winston. What are you going to do? Drops.
What are you worried about?
What are you worried about? I'm Stan Winston. Drops a pen like he would drop a mic. I'm SW. Don't worry about it, McTiernan. I got you covered.
What a man.
Monkey with the dog's head. Don't worry about it.
I bet he's manly too.
Stan Winston. Yeah. Now, on to the dicey issue of the box office.
Was it... Hang on, let me predict this. Was it not a success at the box office, but it's gone on to become a cult's favourite?
No.
Oh.
No. Hang on. Hang on to your...
Save that.
But, no. So, Predator had a reported budget of... Yes. Between $15 and $18 million, give or take $3 million. No, we'll get onto this. Had a box office of $98.3 million.
That's alright, that's pretty good.
Ooh, that's a big hit.
Yeah, back then as well, that's really good.
And budget to box office ratio, great. Yeah. However, there are rumours. John, how much does this movie cost?
15 to 18. And John's a bit dodgy with his taxes. So,
John
I wouldn't believe anything John says when it comes to money, that's all I'm saying.
And so there are rumours, because, they shot in the jungle, it had a troubled production, that Predator actually cost, fucking way more than they ever admitted.
It looks more than 18 million.
And apparently it, secretly broke even in 2004 when they released the DVD, and they're like, we can actually raise money now.
Oh, God.
But it's so technically it flopped, but officially a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Reaction wise, the film was nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects, because there are, especially the bits where the Predator is cloaked and invisible, still looks good now.
Yeah.
Still holds up. And when you think the film is now 31 years old. But, however, initial critical reaction was mixed. Criticism focused on the thin plot. It's about a team of guys being hunted and picked off one by one. It's lean, it's mean, it's all you need.
Yeah.
No one criticises Halloween for its lean plot. No one goes, what is it? Oh, it's a girl and she's hunted by a guy and stalked by him. What's that, the whole thing? Boring. It's like, no. It's like, you don't need anymore. It really annoys me. But anyway, the New York Times described it as grisly and dull, with few surprises.
Bloody hell.
Variety said a slightly above average action that tries to compensate for tissue thin plot with ever more grisly death sequences and impressive special effects. They at least praise the special effects. The Los Angeles Times proclaimed it arguably one of the emptiest, feeblest, most derivative scripts ever made as a major studio movie.
God.
However, in subsequent years, the film's critical reaction has been more positive and it is now widely considered one of the greatest action movies of all time.
If you search 1987 films on Google, the first film that comes up is Predator.
It's one of the greatest action movies of all time.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about. So, that brings us on to sequels and spin-offs. The wider Predator universe. So, we start off with Predator 2 in 1990, which was...
I've not seen this.
Okay, so it was written again by the Thomas brothers, directed by Stephen Hopkins, whose previous standout credit was 1989's A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and who would later direct the Lost in Space movie with Matt LeBlanc. As double bills go, it's not quite Predator Die Hard. This was the first film to be given an NC-17 rating in the US for its graphic violence. It had a bigger budget, reported, of 35 million and a box office of 57 million, so did okay. Critical reception?
Lukewarm at best.
No. What's the tagline of the Two Geeks podcast?
It was not a success at the box office, but it's gone on to become a cult favourite.
There we go. Yeah.
It's that?
Yeah. The film received negative reviews but has gone on to earn a cult following.
So it wasn't a shit film?
It didn't go down that well at the time, but it's not Predator, but it's Predator 2, it's alright. Yeah.
It landed in the world's most forbidding jungle. It came for the thrill of the hunt. Now, it's coming to a different kind of jungle.
You don't know what you're dealing with.
This time, it's open season on all of us. Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Reuben Blades, Maria Conchita Alonso, Bill Paxton. Predator 2. Hunting season opens again this Christmas.
Has a good tagline. He's in town with a few days to kill. Very good.
Holiday.
Yeah, he's just chilling out. Yeah, it's just not that is a Predator's holiday. It's like a hunting trip. So in 1997, when the film is set, Los Angeles is suffering from both a heat wave and a turf war between heavily armed Colombian and Jamaican drug cartels when a new predator strikes. Danny Glover stars as Lieutenant Mike Harrigan, a maverick LAPD officer. Now, I like Danny Glover, but he was 44 at the time of the film's release, and he bests a predator more or less by himself, something that Arnie barely did. My theory is that this is like a little baby predator, little predator in training.
Little wetty.
a little wetty predator.
Danny Glover's great, but I don't call him... I know he's in Lethal Weapon, but he's not an action star, is he?
The kind of the point of him in Lethal Weapon is he's the guy going, I'm too old for this shit, and Mel Gibson's the and this was after maverick action hero. Yeah. Towards the end of the film, there's a moment where Harrigan is inside the Predator's craft, and we briefly glimpse a trophy room with various skulls, including a xenomorph, which was the first on-screen Easter egg confirming that Alien and Predator take place in the same universe.
So just a laugh, though? They didn't
at the time, but as we know, it went on to spawn a couple of movies. We'll get onto that. Elpidia Carrillo reprises her role as Ana Gonçalves from the first film in a cameo appearance. She's seen aiding government agents in a videotape. Anna is the only character to appear in more than one Predator movie. Interesting. I mean, it's literally like a blink and you'll miss it cameo. She appears on the screen briefly. But it's like a nice little...
Did she film it?
She filmed some more extensive scenes, but they got cut. But in the final film, you just see her briefly on a video screen. Arnie apparently declined to return for the sequel as Dutch, and there's various different sort of disputing stories as to why. Some say he didn't like the script. Some say it was over a pay dispute. Some say that there was a schedule clash with Terminator 2. A novelization of Predator 2 provided a small amount of information regarding the fate of Dutch. There's talk of him that he was previously hospitalised after the events of Predator and was suffering from radiation sickness, which ties into that dark fan theory, but that's only a novelisation. Yeah, you can discount that if you want. Dutch is said to have escaped from the hospital, never to be seen again. Mysterious. So the Dutch role in Predator 2 was rewritten to become Peter Keyes, who's a character played by Gary Busey. He was a government agent working to capture the Predator. And this little bit isn't confirmed on screen, but Busey revealed in an interview at the time that his character set up the last mission, that's a quote, referring to the events of Predator. So he was kind of the guy who organised all of that. He's like Dylan's boss, basically. And that Dutch was, I quote, lost 9 weeks after the events of the previous film. So we don't know exactly what happened, but the idea is that Dutch kind of went missing, went on the run after the events of Predator, and we don't know what happened to him.
Fair enough.
During the 90s, there were treatments written for a third Predator installment, one titled Predator 3, Deadlier of the Species, chronicled a battle between Dutch and a Predator during a blizzard in New York. And there was another script that had Dutch and Harrigan from Predator 2 teaming up and being taken to the Predator homeworld.
Surprised it just didn't get made.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Because like these sort of films back then, they would just always, I mean, it's nothing new and still doing it, but like back then they would always bring out a sequel, like Nightmare on Elm Street every year. Yeah, even if by that point no one cared anymore.
Well, interesting. The idea of going to the Predator homeworld or something along those lines was sort of revisited 20 years on with Predators, which came out in 2010 with Robert Rodriguez looking to revive the franchise.
With the weirdest casting decision I've ever known.
We'll get onto that. So the title Predators is an allusion to aliens, obviously. The film follows an ensemble cast of characters, all killers in one form or another, including Royce, a mercenary played by Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
Now,
I know he buffed up for the role. He looked great.
Yeah.
But it's Adrian Brody, the pianist.
My thing is, like, he's not Arnie, but he is as ripped as Adrian Brody could possibly be.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
he did his best.
Fine. No, nothing against him.
It's happened now, Tom.
Yeah, just an odd. Just think of all the guys that could have had that role. Adrian Brody is what you've added with. All right.
What's the last thing you remembered?
All of a sudden there was a light, and then I was falling.
Who are you?
I was supposed to be executed 2 days ago.
And I was in combat. So was I.
Black Ops.
Yakuza.
We need to work as a team.
Does this look like a team-orientated group of individuals to you? They can hear you, smell you, and see you.
Predators. Okay, you're talking about Brody, but great cast. So you got Walton Goggins,
nice.
Danny Trejo,
yeah,
Lawrence Fishburne, and an early role for Mahershala Ali. The film had a budget of $40 million, at a box office of $127 million, so it did pretty well. Debuted to mixed but mostly positive reviews, with most critics considering it the first solid attempt at a sequel to the original Predator. Now, again, Rodriguez had intended to have Schwarzenegger reappear as Dutch in the form of a cameo at the film's end, with Dutch arriving to save the two remaining survivors. But it didn't transpire because Arnie was unavailable.
Because was he still the governor?
I think it was the governor phase.
See, nowadays he'll turn up to anything.
Yeah.
Arnie. It's a shame.
Turn up to the opening of an Aldi these days. Instead, the film ends with Royce, Adrian Brody's character, and another survivor, the only other survivor, Isabel, determining to get off the planet, knowing that more predators are closing in. Obviously set up for a sequel that never arrived. So that is more or less the end of the core Predator franchise.
Yeah. But hang on, aren't you forgetting something?
No, I don't want to talk about it. Do I have to...
There were some other Predator films.
No. All right, fine. In 2004, we had Alien vs. Predator, which charts a battle between the Predators and the aliens of Alien in the Antarctic. Finally, the two iconic monsters go head-to-head, and it blows. So bad.
That's what we need to talk about if you want.
It's so bad. Well, okay, we're talking about it. So anticipation was obviously high for the film, following the successful AVP comic books and video games. You ever play the games?
No.
They were great. But the film was torn apart by critics like a chest burster. They tore it apart, mostly for the dark, poorly edited action sequences. It's like, what's the hook of this film, guys? Aliens fighting predators. Going to show us any of it? No, just
So what?
shaky
I
cam.
was thinking though, because
Shaky
I
cam.
haven't seen these films. So what happens? They just like having a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how? Can't we sustain a whole film with that?
What did you say this room was called?
Sacrificial chamber.
This story's all here. This whole thing was a trap.
They're not hunting us. We're in the middle of a war.
They're using us as bait.
It's been a while since I've seen it, and
there's a sequel, AVP 2.
So in 2007, there was a sequel, Aliens vs Predator Requiem.
Oh, again, don't use that stupid word. It's either that or redemption or not Renaissance.
That could be Alien vs Predator Renaissance, where they travel back to
Resurrection.
Florence.
Is what I was thinking of.
Retaliation. So Requiem sees a crossbreed Predalien terrorize a city in Colorado. If anything, it earned an even frostier reception. I've got you.
Longing for AVP 1.
Longing for the sweet, sweet days of AVP 1. The AVP franchise was abandoned due to the overwhelmingly negative reaction to these two films. And the latest Alien film, Alien Covenant, which was released last year, more or less writes the events of both movies out of continuity. Bye, AVP. Bye.
But with Predator, is it still in the same universe?
Predator and Alien, you could argue, are still in the same universe as each other because of the xenomorph skull.
No, but I mean, is AVP still in the Predator universe?
Let's say no. Let's say no. I'm making an executive decision right now.
Alright, makes sense to me.
New. However, the core Predator franchise is looking to relaunch again with another new movie later this year, The Predator. What do you do when you... Well, alright, because I know these both annoy you. What would you rather? Would you rather it was called like Predator Retaliation, or would you rather it was called The Predator, like The Wolverine? Or The Batman?
The Predator is just about better than Predator Requiem 2.
Alright, good news for Shane Black, who is writing. He's writing and directing The Predator, which is an interesting choice. Hawkins is back. I mean, not actually, he's dead. But Shane Black is back. And this film is going to be set between Predator 2 in 1997 and Predators, which are set in the far-flung future. And we'll follow a team of Marines hunting the Predators.
Led by...
Now...
this guy.
Boyd Holbrook. Now...
I'm judging this purely on his face.
Right, he does look...
He just looks like a generic... Jai Courtney, Garrett Hedlund... run-of-the-mill, shat this one out, here's another one, let's get him, he's blonde, he's buff, fuck it.
You forgot Joel Kinnaman in there.
Joel Kinnaman.
But, you haven't seen Logan, still.
Oh, is he in Logan?
And he's good in Logan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. Good enough to lead a Predator film?
No one's Arnie, are they? No one's Arnie. Stop holding him
at least it's not Jai Courtney. He could easily have been Jai Courtney.
It's not Jai Courtney. Let's take solace where we can find it. So the film stars Boyd Holbrook, Olivia Munn, Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah.
You like Keegan-Michael Key?
I do. Alfie Allen.
Alfie Allen's in it. Well, he's obviously going to be like the little
scrote
who gets... Can we say scrote?
Yeah.
Who gets killed like really early on, like horribly by the Predator. Sterling K. Brown, he's hot property right now. Yvonne Strahovski.
From 24 fame.
And Chuck and Thomas Jane, who I've always had a soft spot for since Deep Blue Sea. He's also... So it's a good cast. Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son.
Oh wow, he was in the second Predator.
Gary Busey was. And Jake Busey will play the son of Peter Keyes from Predator 2.
Nice.
So
good.
Shane Black's my kind of boy. He's doing a triple X3 and retroactively linking all the disparate sequels together.
Any hit for Arnie? Come back?
Well, Arnie was confirmed to have discussed returning with Black about playing Dutch once more, but he turned it down.
Why? He's still doing his shit Terminator film. Let's do this.
According to Black...
Ruin another franchise.
According to Black, it's because the role was too small. Arnie wanted a bigger role.
Do a Vin Diesel. Do a bit where you come back at the very end, and in the next film you come back.
You make a good point with the Terminator thing, is that a part of me really wants Arnie to come back as Dutch. See, just so we can sort of find out what happened to him. But part of me's like, oh, what if they ruin it like Terminator?
It's going to be lame, isn't it?
Maybe it's better that it stays this perfect, wonderful thing. And it's quite nice that he vanished and no one ever knows what happened to him.
Well, I'm glad with this film.
He lives on in our dreams.
They're doing my rule, which is if you're going to keep making these films, keep it in the same universe, in the same timeline.
No, you always say you want films to... I wish random filmmakers would just do their own take.
That's fine. What I don't like is when they do a Ghostbusters and totally remake it.
Right.
And...
Well, so you like that it's a sequel, not a remake?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So either...
Yeah.
Do your own thing whilst the franchise is still running. So, like they did with Logan.
Sort of.
Yeah. Or... if you're going to suddenly do a new Predator film,
do
it so that it's in the same... Because even Jumanji, the new Jumanji, is actually connected.
It's tied.
I like that. Very briefly, but it is connected. I like that.
So you want direct sequels...
Yeah.
No remakes. Or
weird random one-offs.
Weird little offshoot movies, but only... While the main franchise is still going.
What I want is like if they...
You must love the X-Men franchise because they're doing all this weird New Mutant shit and Gambit that no one wants.
As I say, what I want is that James Bond thing where they do a random Brosnan film, but the actual franchise is still going.
That's what this all boils down to.
I just want Brosnan back.
You're making it sound like it's some grand vision for cinema. You're like, can I have another Bond film starring Pierce Brosnan? I want that.
But that's what the thing is. Someone could come... It's like the Superman Lives thing. I know that might have been shit, but it's that thing of... Someone could have a really good idea, but they won't do it because the franchise is running at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could just make a really good one-off film. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You might as well fucking Justice League and all that kind of shit.
The Predator is out August 3rd, 2018. Desperately trying to pull us back on topic. We'll have to wait and see if it lives up to the hype. But personally, I'm feeling pretty positive about it. Shane Black's involvement has me feeling positive.
Yeah.
Well, that is about it for this episode of Two Geeks, Two Beers. I haven't even gone into the Predator books and comics and video games. There's too much, and we'd be here all night. But, maybe if this episode's popular enough, if our downloads go through the roof, that's something we might look into in future, maybe explore the little offshoots.
Quite possibly.
Or
could we ever do Aliens franchise as well, maybe?
We may well do. Yeah. But if you want more right now, then get to the website, which is twogeeks2beers.com, where literally dozens more episodes await you. They're also on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you do listen via iTunes, rate us and review us.
Please.
Do it! Do it now! Come on!
And also head over to our social channels, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at 2geekscast.
Not Snapchat. Never Snapchat. That's it, I'm done. Handing over to you again for the next episode.
So we're staying in the 80s, and we've just done your favourite film. We're doing technically my second favourite film, but we'll say it's my favourite film. Best film franchise, at least. Back to the Future.
Ooh.
So it just no-brainer. Why wouldn't you want to tune into that?
Continuing the Alan Silvestri thing.
Exactly.
Silvestri fans, watch out for the next episode. So to play us out, I had to go for this. It's the superb Predator the Musical by Lego Lambs. If you enjoy this, he's done a ton more on YouTube for everything from Commando to Aliens to The Running Man. So that is all for now, but be sure to stick around.
Very good.
Quite proud of that.
It's using the trees, watching and waiting, killing us off one by one. The chopper is close, but this thing is too fast. We won't make it, it's pointless to run. Talk, no more games.
I don't know what it was. The jungle came alive.
Go on.
It happened very fast. Not easy to describe, but you must have wounded it, unless my eyes deceive. When the big man was killed, its blood was on the leaves.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. She discovered the key. There is proof we can wound it. So repeat after me. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, now take a stand.
Here now, take a stand.
We can bring down this bastard.
We can bring down this bastard.
If we stick to the plan. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Something's out there waiting for us. 2 or 3 men out there at the most. Am I the only one who's awake? I don't believe in goblins or ghosts. Fucking lizard, give me a break.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Expendable. I say yeah, now take a stand.
I woke up, why don't you?
So instead of complaining,
bullshit's not gonna
you should
work.
give us a hand.
I got nothing better to do.
I saw it, God damn it, those eyes, they disappeared. It cut down my friend and it ran while I emptied that gun.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
I saw it, God damn it.
Stop shaving, you don't have a beard.
That thing will come back, and when it does, I'm gonna have me some fun.
If it bleeds,
I'm gonna have me some fun.
If it bleeds, if it bleeds,
if it bleeds, we can kill it.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
We can pull out the wind.
We can pull out the wind.
Set a trap for the monster.
Set a trap for the monster.
While we still have our skin.
While we still have our skin.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
2 or 3 men out there.
I believe it can fall. When you're feeling downhearted, just remember the call. If it bleeds, we can kill it. If it bleeds, I can kill it. Now it's all up to me. Mud all over my body, so the bastard can't see. It's a solo campaign now. Get revenge for my men. Hawkins, Mac, and Ramirez. Billy, Dylan, and Blaine.
One more right now, then.
Almost finished. We drank less this time as well.
Yeah.